Welcome to It's Not You, It's Grief, a safe space to have candid conversations surrounding the many faces of grief. How do you handle the process while moving forward and ultimately getting back to living in the moment? Come on this journey as we navigate grief through the art of storytelling. And now for your host, Ahira Smith.
Today in America, more than 53 million family members are caregivers. Of those 53 million family caregivers, they are provided unpaid care. That's an economic value totaling more than $470 billion. Family caregivers should be celebrated every single day, which is why November is National Family Caregivers Month. This is a time to recognize and honor caregivers nationally, raise awareness about caregiving issues, educate in the communities, and work to increase support for our nation's caregivers. My name is Ahira Smith, and I am known as the Grief Mending Coach, and this is another episode of It's Not You, It's Grief. Today, I have the pleasure of bringing on somebody very dear to my heart, somebody who's been a caregiver for the last few years regarding the care of her elderly parents, Julene and Alvin. She is somebody I had the pleasure of working with for a number of years in my former career path as an advisor at a HBCU. This woman is, without question, a pillar of strength. She not only was able to be a caregiver for that of her parents, but also be a remarkable coach in a sport that doesn't see too many women of color in. She is a wonderful wife and partner to her husband of 20 years. She's also an astounding mother of 3 wonderful children. She happens to also be a member of my beloved sorority of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Shout out to my sorors. She has not only been a colleague of mine, she has not also been a soror. She has not also been an example of what strength looks like. She has literally been moments in my life a provider and somebody who has blessed me. And I couldn't think of anybody that I would love to have had to come on my stage and talk about this during this time than my soror, Miss Pamela J. I'm sorry, not J, excuse me. I'm getting all emotional here. Y'all have to forgive me. This live. But Pamela N. Jenkins. Miss Pamela Jenkins, I'm about to bring you on stage. Hey, soror.
Hello, about to have me in tears talking about yourself. I'm like, oh, girl.
Listen, I am too blessed and too honored to have you on this stage with me because this is something that hits us, close to home, very much so. And so it's important that we talk about it because it's impacting a lot of us. People may not realize it, but it's impactful. So I definitely wanted you to come on here and share your story, share your journey with others who are family caregivers, because let's be honest, we are. As we get older, our parents are getting older and they're not able to live the life that they used to for various different reasons. And so, it falls upon us adult children to make sure our elders are taken care of, as the days continue on. So again, I'm just so appreciative of you coming on here with me. You good? You want some water? You got.
I'm good. I'm ready to go.
You're all right now, because again, I'm. You know how my shows can be. I'm going to just. So let's get in it though. But I only gave a snippet of who you are to me, but definitely tell everybody else who wants to know a little bit more about Pamela N. Jenkins. Who is Pamela Jenkins, and how did you become the family caregiver, and what that transition's been like for you?
Right, right. So about me, I'm all about family, and that's not just blood, right? I mean, definitely there for blood, but that's also, like you and some other people, just making sure that if I'm good, they're good, right? That's definitely my motto. If I can help, I definitely will do what I can. Um, it happened January of 20. I'm sorry. Well, she passed January of 24, my mom. Um, she was in the hospital prior to that for 5 months. Actually, she went in the hospital right after my mother in law passed. Actually, about a month exactly after my mother in law passed, my mom was in the hospital for 5 months and subsequently passed away. And she was a caregiver for my dad. My dad has frontal lobe dementia, and she was the one being a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful wife and just caring for him and doing everything for him. And when she passed, being that for my mom, I'm her only child, and I just, my dad had to come and live with me and my family. So we went from uh, a family of actually six because my in laws were living with us too until my mother in law passed. So now my husband and I, we take care of our fathers.
Wow, wow. So, so there was five of you. It was you, your husband, and your three beautiful children. Then you just said your in-laws were moving in with you. So they were staying with you for a while until your mother-in-law passed. And then you said a month after your mother-in-law passed, your mom went into the hospital and she was there for a duration for 5 months until she
Right.
transitioned.
Correct.
So both you and your husband are caregivers.
Correct. Yes. His parents lost their home, unfortunately, to a hurricane. Um, and it just made sense for them to come and live with us.
Wow. That's a lot, sis. That's a lot. That is a lot. So what has the transition like been for you guys emotionally?
It's been hard. Definitely life takes on, I guess, different avenues and just looks completely different than it did. There's no more just, hey, dropping everything and going out to dinner or going on vacations um, or just even just thinking about your immediate family. Like everything we do now is centered around our fathers and making sure that there's always someone here. I mean, that's a large part of why I work from home now is so I can be in the house with them, especially, my dad, he doesn't have I don't have any help. So just making sure that everything is okay. But it's definitely been a transition. There's no more just dropping everything and doing the spontaneous stuff that we used to love to do as a family. Everything has to be planned out. We don't go on vacations. We haven't been on a family vacation going on 4 years. Um, there's no like maybe now that our kids are older, maybe, we'll like after we feed them breakfast, we might go out. My husband and I might go out to dinner, but there's definitely not a time where someone's not in the house with them. So we always have to be mindful of that.
Understood, understood. So with everything that's been going on in y'all's world the last 2 years, um, it's I can tell just again the work that I do that there's been a lot of grief happening, anticipatory grief, especially anticipatory grief as a caregiver because the anticipation of what's happening, whether it's doctor's visits, appointments, whether or not they're going to be okay for this duration, and even the compound amount of grief. Again, you said that your in-laws moved in your house. They were there for a duration, a period of time. Then your mother-in-law took ill and she passed. Then your mom went in the hospital a month after. Then she was in there for a length of time. Then she passed. That was like back to back to back to back to back. So the grief, how has the grief been for you, in terms of dealing with all of these emotions while you're still trying to care for your fathers, basically?
Oh man, it's been one of the hardest things that I've ever had to deal with. My mom was my best friend, loved her to death, looked up to her, my epitome of a woman, and and just with everything she did, and losing her, and then kind of just being thrust into this while trying to manage the two emotions. And as we're like trying to figure out, it definitely hasn't been easy. I know when it first initially happened, I had a very, very rough time. Thankfully, with counseling and prayer and even medication, I'm doing better. But, I'm starting to realize it's not something that you just get over. Like, I lost one of the most important people in my life. Caring for another now, so I've learned that I have to give myself grace, and that I'm not going to just get over this, that I gotta kind of take this on head on, and kind of be in the moment as it comes. So if I feel like crying, I just got to be in that moment and cry, but I just tell myself I can't stay in that moment for too long.
Understood. Understood. Yeah. Let's just call it what it is. It sucks. let's just let's just call
Pretty
it.
much.
It sucks. It really does. When we were growing up, we look at our parents, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. Our parents were who we looked up to, and as we get older and they get older, we're seeing some of the changes, but it's not until we're at this stage in our life that we're like, oh wow, you know, dad's memories kind of, leaving a little bit, or mom's not getting up like she used to, is quick in a hurry, or, it's just,
Mhm.
she's just, and it's hard. It's hard to see people we love and look up to, and they're like, oh, they're the strongest people in the world, their health declining. That's not easy to watch every single day. So
No, it's not.
I'm glad that you are taking the necessary steps to talk to people, whether it's to your counselor, whether you're talking with me, because we be talking.
We
Um,
sure do.
we be talking. But I'm glad that it's not something that you are holding on to by yourself, because you're not alone in this. Like I said in the beginning, there's 53 million Americans who are family caregivers, and that's just for their loved ones. We're not talking about those who may be caregivers for other families. This is
Mm.
just within your own household. So I'm glad that you are getting help and support that you need. What are some of the what are some common misconceptions that you have encountered about what it means to be a family caregiver? And what do you wish others understood better about your experience?
Being a caregiver is a lifestyle. I think like it really dictates every part of our life, every thought. If I go out, having to be back at a certain time, that I'm not out too long, make sure if I do go out, I'm leaving the right food, or, just it really just dictates every moment of your life. You're constantly thinking about them. I think my husband and I had a conversation, and I was like, man, I used up almost all my sick days and none of them were on me.
Mm,
Maybe 2 hours out of all them hours that we get. because it's constantly going to the doctor, making sure everything's okay, making sure he's good, but then forgetting myself in the process, which is definitely one of my New Year's resolutions that I can't do that moving forward, right? But it's also a lot of learning, a lot of what's going to work, what doesn't work, figuring out what they're going to eat, how they're going to take their medication, what, and then just like thinking ahead, like, you know, are we going to have to remodel the house or do something different to make it more accommodating as they grow older? Like, so it's always kind of just thinking of the what's next and trying to be prepared for what's to come, and I feel like we try our best, but it it's you just don't know. I mean, just yesterday my dad asked who I am. I mean, how do you prepare for something like that? So you just try your best. Like I'm grateful that I have my husband who's going through it too, and that we can kind of share that experience together. But yeah, it's hard, it's difficult. And then, we still have kids that we're responsible for and are raising, right? So making sure too that they're not neglected and that they have what they need, and especially just our attention, so that balance is hard.
I, I believe it. I believe it. I have an aunt, my godmother, who is dealing with dementia. And whenever I see her, she'll look at me and she'll ask me a question, be like, "Hey, how's it going? How are your brothers?" I'll be like, "Oh, it's going great. It's good." And then maybe a minute later, "Hey, how's it going? How are your brothers?" And so for me, one of the things that's helped me not get so frustrated is to just realize that this is just the stage in their life that she's in, and it is a condition, and it's not something that she can help. So I just go into her world, because there's no point of me
Mhm.
being so frustrated, be like, "Oh, I just said this
Right.
5 different times." I'm like, I just go into her world, and then when I'm able to, when I leave or when I decompress everything and I just, unpackage it. But I always keep in mind that this is just her world now, you know. And then there are moments when she'll be like, "How's your mom doing?" And I'll be like, "She's good," But then when she keeps asking me over and over again, I'm like, "Auntie, remember?" And she'll be like, and then to watch her remember that
Mm.
mom had been gone for years, and then she'll just have this whole sudden sad look, and I'd be like, It's okay, it's," and then be like, and then she'll start going back in her frame of mind. I'd be like, "That's the part that sucks," but
Mm.
it's one of those things where you just gotta, just keep reminding yourself, and like you said, just get that grace out. Just give that grace to yourself out, because it's important. It's important. So I know that you and your husband, are kind of like the dynamic duo here, if you will. I mean, guys, both of you have lost your moms within a year, and you're now taking full responsibility of your fathers. So I know that in itself could probably be so heavy.
Mhm.
What other support do you have outside of your ring household with this? Because yeah, your husband knows what you're going through, and you know what he's going through, and that's a lot for y'all to go through together. So my question is, what kind of support are you guys getting, if any, that not only you think you need, but what do you think caregivers need but are often lack?
Support. That's what we need. Support.
What does that look
Um,
like?
that so for example, for my father-in-law, he has two nurses aides that come in daily during the week to help, whether it's just for interaction or it's to, help tidy his room or do his laundry. My father-in-law has that. My dad does not. Um, I have a brother. Fortunately, he lives 3 hours away. So when he's able, he'll come and visit. But I think support is definitely something that's needed. Like, if you don't qualify for Medicaid, everything is so expensive. I had someone ask me, well, why don't you just put him in a facility? I was like, oh, are you going to pay the $7,000 a month? Because I know I don't have it.
Mm,
Because he can't just go into anyone, he has to go into a memory care facility.
mm.
So that's $7,000 a month. So now I'm like, okay, well, let me look into caregiving, getting another person in the house to help me. So at least, okay, if I got to run errands or when I'm working at home, could at least get his lunch. You're talking about $35 an hour. I was like, that's everything around that is so expensive. And also when they get older, it's like all the doctor's visits that you got to take time off for, the procedures that they have, like it becomes a lot. But what caregivers need is support. They need a break. Like you're just constantly in this wheel and you don't get a time to come off of it. So that's the big thing.
I heard everything you said, and the one thing that's still sticking in my head is the fact that you said $7,000 a month to put your if you had so choose to do so, $7,000 a month for your dad to go in the facility for his condition. That's more than a lot of people's mortgages and houses. Like
Right.
2 or 3 months worth. And that's unbelievable. I mean, and I get it. You have to pay for not only the room and board, but you also got to pay for the staff and the different therapists that will be there and everything and the workers. But wow, that's crazy. I can't. Whew. And again, you also have to you have to do your due diligence, your research in terms of these facilities because
Absolutely.
some of these
I've heard some
facilities.
stories,
Yeah.
boy. I've heard some stories. That's another thing. I was like, I don't even want to take that chance. You spending all that money and you're going to mistreat my loved one? What?
No, that's where people get into trouble, like big trouble and catch cases and be like, hey,
Exactly.
the money, the $7,000 that was going to be going to that facility, just put it on my books because,
Hmm.
because if I find out anything, that's crazy. That's
Hmm.
wow, wow. So what other things have you heard from other caregivers? And like you said, because I know you said just to support, having another helping hand. Like what other type of support do you think other caregivers, um, you know, could really utilize right now? I mean, obviously everybody could use more money and stuff like that, but what other things do you think caregivers, especially when it's in your house? It's one thing if you're a caregiver and that's your profession, you're going somewhere else. But for people in the home, what else?
It's simple things like just dropping off some snacks. Like if I don't, well, I've actually learned a lot. Like Instacart has become my best friend, right? I'll have days where I'll cook something and my dad's like, "Yeah, no, I don't like this." And I'm just like, "Oh my goodness, I just made this for you and you don't want it." So Instacart's just been my friend for those moments where I gotta, think of something else or give them an insure because I'm like, I'm not going to cook again. Um, so like just another thing is just come over and spend time and just have conversations with them to give us a break, right? Like it doesn't even need to be, I want to go on vacation. Can you spare 4 or 5 days and be in the house with them? How about just coming over and just having a conversation, doing a Bible study, taking them for a walk? Like it could be something just that simple, just something to preoccupy them for even just a little while, right? Like
Mm,
I noticed my father, just as he gets on in age, he's now 87, he's like locking himself more and more in his room where he doesn't leave. So if
mm.
anyone wants to talk to him, you got to go where he is to be there. He's not coming out. And he used to come and sit in the family room with us and sit at the dinner table. He's not doing all of that anymore, right? We used to go to church every Sunday. Now we're going maybe once or twice a month now, if that I can get him out. So I think a lot of it is just come and just help alleviate the burden. Or if you can't do that, send them something to let them know that someone is thinking of them. So
That's
I
got to
think
be
those.
rough, especially, if having having him move, both your dad move from their homes that they lived for decades, and now they're in this new city, new states, and home, and they don't have any friends. It's not like they can call Chester from around the corner, be like, "Hey,
Right.
what you doing, bud? Let's play some checkers," or
Hmm.
"Hey, Monty, you catch that game last night?" That it's not like, "Hey," or they just sitting out there people watching, because that's how our elders be. That's their favorite pastime is going is people watching. I'm
Hmm.
telling you, is, when I go to a particular eatery, not mentioning no names like Panera Bread, the elders are in there locked down. They be in there around those tables just talking
They
for like hours,
sure are.
hours.
You
I'm
go
like,
there during the
okay.
day. Absolutely.
I be like, what y'all talking about? Y'all been here since 8 o'clock in the morning, have that cup of coffee, ain't left nowhere, or they'll get another one and they'll be like for like 3 hours, like, I see you tomorrow. I'll be like, what y'all do? But when you have to leave because your health requires you to do so, that's a different ball game altogether, because you're dealing with your new health issues, you're dealing with new doctors, you're dealing with new schedules, and you don't have that that center, your special core people who always come and drop by and see you day in, day out. So that's got to be a lot. That's got to be a lot.
Hmm.
Um, you mentioned momentarily about how, because of your father's condition, you're not able to really engage in terms of going out, especially regarding going to church. So one of the questions I have is, how has your faith or your spiritual walk influenced your caregiver experience, in terms of, has it provided comfort for you? Has it raised questions, or has it even shifted your perspective in any way?
It's a good question. I would definitely say it's deep in my faith, right? I'll just have conversations with the Lord. It doesn't matter where I am. When I'm in those moments where I'm frustrated and I can't be mad at him, right? Like he has a condition that's making him do these things and repeat himself. And so when I get those moments where I get frustrated, I just have to walk away and pray and I remember my mom, she used to always say, nothing lasts forever. That was like one of her favorite phrases. And I remind myself of that. That is, even though it can be difficult at times, what a blessing to be there for my father in a way that he was there all those years for me. And I just keep reminding myself that it's hard, but it's a privilege to be able to take care of him and to love on him and to try and give him some sort of comfort. I mean, my parents were married for almost 50 years. Like, that's got to be hard when you're with someone for that long to just up and they're just gone. So my faith is definitely strengthened. And not just for me. I think just within our household, like you come here, you gonna hear some praise and worship music in our house. It's gonna be blaring on the TV. My husband found some great Christian stations on YouTube, and we be blasting them through the house, and it just has a nice calming effect on all of us.
Okay, so no Drake, no No little
No,
Wayne. No, okay.
no, nope. No, no,
No,
no.
no Yin Yang twins. No, none of
No, no,
that.
no, 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 no. You gonna hear some Kirk Franklin, some CeCe Winans.
That's
Yeah,
all right.
none of that other stuff.
That's all right. I
No,
mean,
no.
hey, the days of back that up. It's over. I get it. I get
It's
it. I
done.
get it.
Yep.
I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. Um, so one other question that I have for you and is what wisdom or encouragement would you offer to someone who's just beginning to care for a loved one?
It would be to find support in any way that you can, whether that's counseling. Like for me, I went and I found Facebook groups with children that are caregivers for parents, or just people that are just caregivers specifically with people with dementia. I'm in a whole bunch, and I take something out of all of those to just help me realize that I'm not in this alone, that there are so many families going through this. And it just helps give me comfort that I can share something and I can just get a positive word back, or just you got this, or I'm sorry that you're dealing with this. Or they'll even give you suggestions on, hey, this is what's worked for me and my loved one. So I think that's the big thing. You got to find your support, and you got to try and carve out some sort of me time, right? So whether that's going to lunch with a friend on the weekends, going to church by yourself, going on a drive, like you gotta still be able to find something to do for yourself.
Yeah, it's important. It's important. And so I just want to say thank you again, Soror, my sister, my kumbaya. Thank you for just sharing your journey. Thank you for sharing your experiences with me and my audience. And because grief is heavy, as we
Mm,
talked about many a day, grief is very heavy, and it is something that is part of our journey called life. And I'm sure as a caregiver, even more so because of that anticipatory. But I'm glad that even though these experiences are testing you, you are still very rooted in your faith and in your walk, and it's keeping you grounded to know that you're still honoring your mother in this way by continuing what she's done. And you're honoring your father by being able to provide the support and care that he needs at this time in his life. So I just want to say thank you and bless you. It's not easy.
thank you. And can we give you your flowers to bringing this topic up and having a meaningful discussion that's going to help a lot of people? I'll be honest, I didn't even know what this being a caregiver, any of that it entailed. I don't
Mhm.
know if it's one of those things when you're not, in that situation, you don't pay attention to it, but just bringing it to the front so that
Yeah,
we can talk about it and have meaningful conversations, and just letting people know that they're not alone. Like, to hear that number of how many of us are in this situation, I was shocked. I had no idea.
yeah.
So just thank you for creating a safe space to have this conversation.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm honored, and honestly, it's a conversation that needs to be continuing on because it's not a one and done type situation. Everybody is caring for somebody. It doesn't matter if you're in your 40s. It doesn't matter if you're in your 20s. Somebody is caring for somebody else. At least that's what we hope to have happen. We need more care. We need more empathy amongst each other because everybody's going through something. So
Absolutely.
without question, without question. But again, I appreciate you so much for just sharing a piece of you to everybody who's in this position. And for those who need more information or additional support, please visit www.caregiveraction.org. It's a great organization that can provide you with resources and tools to support you. And at the end of the day, just you're not alone in this. There is support out there. We'll have the conversations. And if anybody is in need of coach to talk about the grief and trauma that comes with it, or even a breakdown of what grief looks like in this capacity. My information is below. Visit www.fromgrieftolife.com. Let's talk about it. Let's get you the support and connections that you need. Again, Soror, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. And
Thanks for having me.
absolutely. And we'll talk offline, but I love you. Thank you so
I
much
love
for
you
everything
back.
you do for your parents, for your kids, your family, and for me. Because trust me, you've blessed me more than you realize. Okay.
All right.
All right, everybody. So
Thank
you
you.
guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening, being intentional, and sharing this moment with us. We at It's Not You, It's Grief deeply understand the many facets of grieving, and we want to make sure we can be here for you. Again, thank you for listening, and tune in again wherever you subscribe to podcasts. We look forward to seeing you next time. Be well.